Alright, so this is going to be part 3 to what if Deku had wave motion. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro.
The bad bitch, like she average. I'm a savage, no hoe, what you want do? I'm about cash if the raw fast. I'ma get that little nigga by any means.
Alright, so before we get into the what if, I'd like to say that we just got done with the class 1E. So soon I'm going to have episode 2 of UA year 1 out. I gotta figure out all the details for what I'm gonna do for that episode. And yeah, so if you really want to see the if you want more episodes to come out quicker, I guess we really do need some OCs to fill up the other classes, because in total we're gonna have around 120 students bare minimum, and then a few teachers to go along. I think we have enough teachers, but there are like I think we need like 2 more teachers or something like that. But yeah, we do need a lot of students. So yeah, we just got done with class 1E and we're almost done with class 1A, and we just need to fill in the spots in between. So if you want to join this series, then you could go down in the description, click the link, and it'll take you to my Discord, and there you could actually make your own OC. So yeah, if you haven't checked out the series already, then you should, right? This is a big kind of project that I'm working with a lot of my fans with, and yeah, I think it's for what it is right now, I think it's pretty good. So if you're interested, I'll have a link in the description and you can go watch it. So with that being said, let's get into the actual what if. So in the last part, we just got done with the heroes versus villains. All right, so in this one, we're actually gonna go into the USJ. So after Deku would get one for all, we would get skipped to the next day, and this is when Aizawa would announce to the class that everyone's going to get, or they're going to go to the USJ, which is basically a place so they could learn more about rescue type training or rescue type hero work. So yeah, after this was done and they did their kind of class, they would go to lunch, and this is when Deku would be eating lunch with Uraraka and Ida. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention this. Do you guys want me to do a permutation version of this, where because Mirio's the only one I haven't done a what if about. So if you like this type of sub series of my videos where I go against the big 3, if you guys want one about Mirio and permutation, that kind of what if, then tell me down below. And yeah, so Deku would be eating lunch with his friends as usual, and I think Nejire would be curious and actually want to know who her brother's actually hanging out with. So she would come up with she would go up to the table, and with her would be Mirio and Tamaki, because they are part of the big 3 and they do hang out with each other. So after this was done, she would walk up and basically be like, Izuku, so are these your friends? And she'd be like really in their faces. And this is when Ito would be like, excuse me ma'am, but can you not be so close? Kind of blushing a little bit because she's really in his face. And she would do the same to Ochako and things like that. And this is when Deku would be like, come on sis, don't, you're making them uncomfortable, right? And he would kind of pull her back. And she would be like, oh, I'm sorry. And this is when Deku would basically introduce her. He would be like, oh, this is my sister Nejire. And this is when they would introduce themselves as well. So Ida would also be like, oh, my name is Tenya Ida, and Ochako would do the same. So after they got their introductions and all that kind of done, this is when Deku would ask him like, oh, why are you here, sis? And this is when she would say like, oh, I was just curious about who you were hanging out with, right? Because it's a big, it's my responsibility as your older sister to keep you safe. And this is when Deku would be kind of embarrassed, like, no, you don't need to do that, I can handle myself, we have the same quirk, And this is when Nejire would be like, yeah, but I'm the one that's in the big 3, right? I know how to use my quirk better. And this is when they would kind of have like a little fight between each other. And this is when Tenya or Ida and Ochako would be kind of shocked to hear that Deku's sister's in the big three, and they would be like, "Oh, are you serious? Is she actually in the big three?" And this is when Deku would be like, "Yeah, she is, but you know, it is how it is." So after that was done, before they could continue talking, this is when the kind of alarm goes off, and this is the press actually running through. So as all the students are kind of walking toward, not walking, running in that kind of hallway, Deku would notice that it's just the media, right? Just the news reporters walking through, trying to find All Might, right? So Deku at this point would use his wave motion to propel himself in the air and fly towards the rest of the class, and this would get their attention. And he would basically say like, you guys can be calm because it's only the media and things like that. So after that was done and lunch would be over, this is when Aizawa would tell the class to basically to pack their kind of hero costumes because they're going to go to the USJ. So I had like a comment about the kind of hero costume that Deku should have, and I'm just going to have it. The commenter just said that it should be like his normal outfit but more like skin tight to kind of match Nejire's in a way. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be like his normal costume but a little bit more skin tight and less baggy than it is in canon. So yeah, after this is done, they would pack up and they would get on to the bus. So this is when they would have the same conversation about the kind of quirk and their kind of hierarchy in the class. And Deku would be in the top 3. I don't think that he would be considered at this moment to be the strongest. I think he'd be the second strongest, with Todoroki going in front or being first. So they would talk about Deku's quirk, and he would explain to the class, or mostly the Suyu, that his quirk is called wave motion. It's the same as his sister, and that it basically spirals. It's spiral energy, right? So he would basically say it's not really fast, but it is really powerful, but it drains his stamina. So Suyu would be like, "Oh, so that sounds like a really hard quirk to manage." So this is when Deku would be like, "Yeah, it was for a long time. Me and my sister had to train just so that we would have enough stamina just to use it." And this is when, Kirishima would really have a lot of respect for Deku for trying so hard, trying to master his quirk like that. So after that conversation was done, Aizawa would tell the students that to be on their best behavior because they just got to the USJ, and they would walk out and the gates would open. This is when they would see 13, and 13 would give that speech about the quirk, their responsibility with their kind of quirks and things like that. So Deku, I guess he wouldn't be really too affected about from this speech as he is in canon, since he has control over his quirk to a pretty high degree. So this is when they're about to walk down the stairs, and this giant wormhole actually opens up, or a gateway. This gateway lets through a bunch of villains, including one that has a bunch of hands all over him, and one that is a lot bigger and a lot more muscular with black skin and a bird-like face. This is the Nomu and Shigaraki, basically. So at this point, Aizawa would run down and basically use his quirk and his scarf to take out a bunch of villains. Deku, I think, would follow him, since he's always been one to run in the middle of danger so that he could protect people, since he does have that heroic kind of personality that he still has in the anime, but he has more confidence in himself since he has a quirk. So he'd be able to run down using his wave motion on his kind of the bottom of his feet to make him go faster. So he would catch up with Aizawa pretty easily, and Aizawa would tell Deku to go back with the other kids so that 13 can protect them, right? This is when Deku would refuse and say, "I'm not going to let you fight alone because I don't want you to get hurt," right? And Aizawa would be like, "Kid, you don't have to worry about me. it's my job as a teacher to help you kids out. And this is when Deku would be like, I can't accept that, and he would continue to fight. And Deku would be able to take out a bunch of villains at this point, since the wave motion is really good for AoE, or effect, like has a lot of area of effect basically, if you don't know what AoE means. So he's able to take out multiple villains at once, and Shigaraki's getting really annoyed about this, so he sends in the Nomu. The Nomu doesn't go for Aizawa yet. He actually goes for Deku, because Deku's taking out more people than Aizawa, since how the quirk works. So at this point, the Nomu would be rushing towards Deku, and to kind of brace the impact, Deku would use around, I guess, 50% of his wave motion without using one for all, and it wouldn't really do much. The Nomu would be knocked back a bit, but he would break through and still go towards Deku. So Deku tries 100, right, and this actually stops the Nomu from actually attacking and pushes it back. But the damage that Deku's actually doing does not actually do much because of his regeneration and shock absorption. So he's questioning, like, why isn't this thing taking any damage? And this is when Shigaraki would say that his quirk is shock absorption and regeneration. So Deku, Aizawa, tells Deku that he's going to deactivate his quirk so that he could actually take him out. So he does so, but it's not doing too much. The Nomu's actually still able to hang on a bit and actually hold his guard, right? So what Deku actually does is he tries to use All Might's quirk, which is one for all. So he does 100% wave motion, and let's just say he wouldn't be able to really control it at this point, so he would have to use 100% of one for all into his wave motion. And we could come up with you guys can come up with a name for this, since I don't think it'd be considered a smash, since he isn't really doing much physical interaction, I guess. So you guys can come up with a different name for it. I'll just call it super motion for this for the time being. So he would use 100% of both and create a super motion, and basically this would encompass the Nomu and basically turn him into ash, I guess. Yeah, because there'd be so much energy that would just burn him, and Shigaraki or Aizawa would be using his quirk to deactivate it. And yeah, so Shigaraki would be very angry at this point and looking for revenge. He would go towards Aizawa to kind of try to take him out, right? And Aizawa at this point would be very tired from using his quirk so much, so he wouldn't be reliably be able to deactivate Shigaraki's quirk. And Shigaraki actually does land a hit on Aizawa, but it's on his hand, or his forearm, right? So it's not really directly touching anything. And before he could continue, this is when the heroes come through, and this is when Shigaraki gets shot by Snipe in his four limbs, causing him to basically be crippled for that fight, and having Kuriguri have him taken out or escape with Kuriguri, since he doesn't really care about the other villains there. So yeah, All Might would be impressed that Deku was able to fight with Aizawa and use his quirk efficiently enough to take out someone that was supposed to take out All Might. So the media would come and they would see this as a positive, because none of the students really got hurt, and the teacher was not really hurt either, but he also put his life on the line, just like 13 was, or she would still get hurt because of Kuriguri and things like that. So I'm gonna end it here, and in the next video we'll go over the sports festival. And tell me down below if you want to see that Mirio or permutation video with Deku, and yeah, with that being said, this is gonna be the end of the video. So yeah,